A media frenzy over the Christie bridge controversy.
Calls at this hour for the feds to step in.
Firestorm brewing around New Jersey Governor Christie. The focus is the George Washington Bridge.
Will a traffic jam derail Christie's White House hopes?
Scandal surrounding the New Jersey Governor Christie.
But wait, President Obama and his former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton in the hot seat over their foreign policy flap this week. Apparently, the mainstream media thinks a traffic jam is more important. Bob, double standard here or what?
No, because I don't think that the flap that you talk about is such a big deal, the Gates book. But leaving that aside, you know the thing about Christie, he did a good job in his press conference, and I give him some credit for that. But the fact of the matter is, if you're the chief executive of a state where the most important artery in your state is backed up and a lot of complaints coming in, and the only people he asks about it are his staff, I mean, this guy used to prosecute bad politicians. Yeah. He didn't just take their word for it.
Yeah, listen, Christie did a great job kind of diffusing a lot of the animosity and what was going on, assuming he's not lying about anything, because if there's one name with Christie copied on it, one email, one memo, it's going to be big trouble. Wayne, what your thoughts on the media's treatment of Christie versus, let's say, Benghazi, where there are 4 dead Americans versus 4-hour traffic jams?
Well, that's a good point. They've spent 17 times as much time on it. We know that the press is prejudicially Democratic. You know that. So they're going to attack Christie in any case. They let her off the, I'm talking about Hillary, they let her off the hook on Benghazi. They let her off the hook on Filegate. They let her off the hook on Whitewater. This is a lying, cheating woman who has more ambition to be the President of the United States than anything else. And as a consequence, the press, who is sucked in by this, by their own blindness, is sucked in by that, is going to make a big thing about him in the traffic, which has nothing to do with how. And by the way, they knocked Rumsfeld for, when he was Secretary of Defense. He went down to the Congress and said, I take responsibility for Abu Ghraib because I'm the Secretary of Defense. You don't hear Hillary doing any of that.
John and Michelle, and John, very quickly. Michelle, you're on deck.
Well, for one thing, this would have never happened had the roads been privatized, Eric, which we've been talking about for a long time. But I happen to think Christie's scandal is potentially criminal, as with all the Democratic scandals are. And I think the reason for the media double standard is that Obama is seen as this altruist, right? Oh, he's sacrificing for student loans, for everyone else. Christie's infraction is seen as actually personally vindictive, and that's why he's getting the hard.
Final thoughts, very quickly, please.
Double standard, absolutely. The top networks have dedicated 17 times more coverage to this than they did the past 6 months on the I.R.S. scandal. And let me just say, Christie came out and he fired the woman. Obama, he didn't even fire Lois Lerner. He allowed her to go on paid leave.
No one's fired yet.
Paid leave and full retirements.
We're going to say thank you to Michelle and Bob Beckel for joining us this week. By the way, happy birthday, Michelle Fields. Coming up,
thank you.